Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live.
Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas. This is my buddy Behr Safi Baruti on YouTube. And we bring you the latest on everything cool. And yes, we recognize that it's been a little while since we have been back. And it's because we've been scheming and planning and coming up with all kinds of cool things, which we're going to talk about in a second here. But we have got a rundown to get to and some dedications to dole out here. First of all, to the late and great Kurt Douglas, who passed away today. We just found out as we were putting everything together. Much respect to all of the fine work that that gentleman crafted for us and put into the world for us, not the least of which is his son, who the original Ant-Man. But rest in peace, Kirk Douglas, and our respects to everybody that knew him and worked with him and loves him, and to his family. Also, we have to give a shout out to our buddy Johnny Millennium, who has been ill for months, and I don't think it has anything to do with the rise of Skywalker. But I think I think that was the last thing that we shot together. Well, I think we shot that, and then he got sick. So I don't know if that movie made him sick or what happened, but he's been ill for a long time, and it's been frustrating the hell out of him. He posted something on his channel, Happy Console Gamer, but I know that everybody here misses him and wants to wish him well. Yes? Yeah. Yes. Johnny, get better. And also a big shout out to everybody that's been waiting for new episodes of EP Live. We love to do this show, and I wanted to invite Behr back to be here as often as he can be. And to put some fun episodes together. And so we've been planning a bunch of different things. But big appreciation and thank you very much to all of the members that continue to support us with their monthly subscriptions to the EP Live and the EP content that we've been making. I hope you've been enjoying it. We launched the Sunday features recently. And one of the cool little benefits that we've given to the members is that they get the Sunday features on Saturday. So something to think about there. Anyways, thank you all, and let's get started with your rundown. All right, Nintendo has dropped a few new details on the future of the Switch. Speaking with investors, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa revealed that the Switch is about halfway through its lifespan. Since the console first hit stores in 2017, this means we could be seeing a new system from Nintendo in 2023, giving the Switch a 6-year lifespan, similar to previous Nintendo systems. That doesn't mean we won't also be seeing a new version like the Switch Lite before then, although Nintendo says that they don't have plans to release a new one this year, so don't hold your breath. As for the competition, when asked about the next-gen PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, Furukawa says that Nintendo isn't worried because the Switch isn't meant to be a competitor to those platforms, so they don't anticipate a significant impact on their business. Those new consoles launch at the end of this year. Is Nintendo right? Or do you think they're being silly, not sort of judging the competition out there like that?
First of all, it's crazy to think that the next Nintendo console is 3 years away.
Yeah.
This is how fast time flies.
Right.
And
we just finished Breath of the Wild like a minute ago. I just blinked and...
Yes, 100 more hours of DLC and the second game is coming out.
Right.
But, I always think about, as far as the competition aspect is, it took until 2012 for Nintendo to go HD.
Yeah.
Right. We were playing the Wii up until 2011,
yes,
before the Wii U, playing in 480i or 480p.
Does it really matter, though?
It doesn't matter.
Because you have all of the systems, and I have all the systems. Many of you watching have all of the systems. But Switch looks fine on HD.
Thank you, Blake.
On 4K.
But
the invisible hand of Blake.
Invisible hand comes in. But this totally kind of solidifies the fact that Nintendo's kind of always been in their own lane.
Yes.
And they do not need to compete with Sony. They don't need to compete with Microsoft, especially now the fact that Sony has been out of the handheld market as well. Like, they are in their own lane making AAA handheld games.
I think it's disappointing that they're not going to have a Switch Pro this year. I think that was news to everybody, and it was kind of crazy that Nintendo said we are not releasing a new system. But it makes sense for them not to do that and be sort of mixed into the noise of the new PlayStation and the new Xbox, which will, as powerful as a Switch Pro could be, would be much more powerful than that. Yeah. So let them launch with all of the hype around 4K gaming and 8K gaming and 60 frames per second, all the numbers that people can throw around these things, and then Nintendo can come out next year and say, well, here's the Switch Pro with Zelda 2. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're going to sell, I think they probably already sold out of the Animal Crossing Switches.
They have, that's right. My girlfriend, it was right after midnight.
Yeah.
All the pre-orders were already gone. Like the second they went live. It goes to show how successful the Switch is.
It's crazy.
And it's, I always think about, a world where, you know, we saw kind of the failure of the Wii U. I can call it a bit of a failure.
Yeah. Oh, you
know,
can call it a failure. I think Nintendo calls it a failure at this point.
If, you know, the Switch was not a hit,
yeah,
you know, would we have seen Mario potentially show up on PlayStation or Microsoft,
Dude,
right? Like
yes.
we were this close,
right?
I feel like, to seeing that.
Well, Nintendo didn't know either. They didn't know.
Yeah.
They had no idea that we were all going to jump on board with this idea. But it was an idea that I think we all had been circling around as a concept. And thinking, wouldn't it make sense? You know,
everyone looked at that Wii U Fisher-Price controller,
and said,
we were like, "Hey,
yeah,
we could. If this thing was just not attached to a console,
yeah,
we would have loved this machine."
You're right,
and that's what the Switch was. It was an easy formula, an easy way of success. So.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to do just fine.
I think they'll be okay.
They're in
their own lane. Nintendo's the Disney of video games.
They're in the Nintendo business.
Yeah.
Not so much the video game business in a way, right? Okay.
Right.
Well, it sounds like the galaxy far, far away won't be returning to theaters anytime soon. Following the release of The Rise of Skywalker, Disney CEO Bob Iger has confirmed that the Star Wars franchise will be taking a hiatus in terms of theatrical releases. He says that for the next few years, the focus will be on television and their new streaming service, Disney Plus. The Mandalorian is slated to return for a second season this October. Yes, with several other Star Wars shows already in development. Iger adds that they might also be working on Mandalorian spin-offs, Baby Yoda show, focusing on different characters, but
Let's not take it too far.
No official announcements have been made. Yeah. The Star Wars movies have largely been seeing diminishing returns at the box office, while Disney Plus has exceeded expectations, recently hitting 28.6 million subscribers. And I haven't talked to you really about The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think we've connected around it. What did you think of the movie?
You know, I enjoyed it. It had crazy pacing issues.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I just feel like the sequel era will always be that sequel that we're going to look back at and be like, this could have been so much more.
Yes.
You know, and that's because we had amazing casting with John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac. Just had this great cast, but these characters were just not fleshed out well. Like, I didn't like Rey as much as I wish I liked her.
Oh, I loved Rey.
I feel like they could have, that character progression could have been stronger.
I
feel like she could have been,
Yeah.
you know, suffered a little bit more,
Yes.
kind of gone through her hardships, really seen her train as a Jedi.
Right.
Like, can you believe we had Mark Hamill healthy, looking great, and we totally just like threw away the character.
Like he threw away the lightsaber.
Just like he threw away the lightsaber. That always, I look back at the sequels, and that's what I always think about.
I know.
Like, we wasted Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Hamill was in great shape, and
Yes.
we could have just had this amazing moment.
Yeah.
Between like passing on the torch, and
we
didn't get that.
I just watched Force Awakens again because my family's going down to Disneyland pretty soon, and my kid's going to want to go to Star Wars Land. And
Your kid. Yes, yes.
It was great, but yeah, you could feel like the rein, like they let go of the reins and they just went off in every direction. And it feels like even if JJ had said, I'm going to be a creative decision maker on where we go with this from here on out, it would have been at least more cohesive.
Yes.
Like the Lucas era cohesion. Although I also watched episode 3 not too long ago, and that was a mess. And it really felt like it was so dated and so CG. It looked so uncomfortable.
And episode 3's people's favorite from the prequel era.
But it's hard to watch now, especially after The Mandalorian.
Try watching episode 2.
Oh, 2 is brutal.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of? It was like weather people in front of a green screen, and they're like pretending to be like in hurricanes and stuff.
I mean,
that's what the Star Wars movies look like to me.
And to go back to the topic here, like this is the reason why I feel like, you know, Disney wants to take a break from these films.
Yes.
It was clear that they should have had a plan from the very start.
100%.
There should have been like a cohesive story of this is what we want to do for episode 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
Instead of, you know, kind of passing on the torch.
Yes.
And writing something new, because, you know, The Last Jedi will always be that movie that'll be like, did that really, what did that do for the sequel era?
I know. It's frustrating. I mean, lots of lore was created and lots of threads for future stuff. Yeah. I would be happy if they said, you know what, Mark Hamill, we didn't really do enough with you. Let's come up with a show to make an older Luke Skywalker thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
They probably don't want to have anything to do with Skywalker saga anymore, and that is just absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were in a movie together, but never together.
Never together. I know.
Okay.
I know, it's crazy. And the actors
Heart's
are all here.
broken.
And just to kind of end off at the point, too, is just, I'm also worried that I don't want them to oversaturate things with these TV shows.
Yes.
You know, I feel like there was a point in time.
Right.
And Rogue One was great, but I feel like the Solo movie was a little unnecessary.
Yes.
You know, it came at a time where we just said farewell to Han Solo as a character.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, you know, prizing that role. That was just very strange to just see this kind of prequel Han Solo story. It just didn't feel as powerful as it should have been.
And honestly, all they needed to do with that, because it was all right, is just give it another 6 months of of baking time, and it would have been good because the actors were great.
We just can't saturate the market. We just have to put time and care into each project.
Well, that's what they're doing with Obi-Wan.
With Obi-Wan, exactly. And I'm so happy about that because that's probably the show that I'm most excited for.
Yes.
Because Ewan McGregor was an amazing young Obi-Wan.
He's incredible.
So
I've got the higher ground now.
I've
been working on my...
Yes.
You can't win, Anakin. I've got the higher ground. That's what
Deal.
happens when you watch episode 3.
Where's your hello there?
Okay. Hello there. No, I can't. It's terrible. It's more C-3PO. All right, now over in the world of video games, the Star Wars franchise is helping to prove that there's still demand for single-player stories. EA has announced that last year's Star Wars game Jedi Fallen Order has exceeded their expectations and sold almost 10 million units. A round of applause for those guys.
Yes.
Unlike most other EA projects, the game relied entirely on single player with no online multiplayer or co-op, and its marketing also touted the fact that it has no microtransactions or paid loot box mechanics. I love that those are bullet points and features.
Yeah.
It's unclear how much of a role that played in helping the game win over players. Developer Respawn Entertainment was bought by EA while Jedi Fallen Order was in development, so don't be surprised if they have similar projects on the way.
Can I first just say how grateful and happy I am that these single-player games are getting the love and the recognition?
They always are the ones.
But
like
do you remember
the award shows?
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man and God of War and Jedi Fallen Order.
It took us a while to get to this point because you remember around 2008 to 2000, I want to even say 14, where we saw the success of Call of Duty, and all of these companies were like, every single-player game needs a multiplayer mode. So we saw games like BioShock tack on a multiplayer mode. And we just saw these crazy, just, you know, kind of half-assed, I want to say, multiplayer modes added to games.
Yes.
And the industry really thought that was the future. But here we are finally where we get games like God of War, Spider-Man, and people want a single-player, you know, Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that we're here now.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, Jedi Fallen Order was a great game. I feel like the potential is there to really hit that AAA mark and hit that Game of the Year nominee mark.
Yes.
It just needs probably one more title.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
And you know, Respawn was an excellent acquisition by EA, and I played
studio.
Titanfall 2 over the Christmas break there, and I had such an incredible time.
You played it again?
I did. I jumped back in. I was
love
playing
that
some of the
game,
story and some of the multiplayer. It's still very vibrant in terms of multiplayer.
It is, yeah.
Speaking of multiplayer.
It was free on PlayStation Plus as well, so huge.
They're an
amount of
amazing
players,
company, you know. The one thing, though, that I will say, and this is kind of goes against what we were just talking about with the movies and rushing things, is that they have these amazing characters, these the Skywalker saga characters, and the only sort of 3D make your own kind of fun adventure type of experience that we're going to get with these characters is going to be in the new Lego game. And that's a missed opportunity too. It's like I would love to play a Han Solo single player adventure game and go off on a mission with Chewbacca and, you know, land on different planets and all that stuff. We probably won't because it's all like a hot potato right now, but that's a missed opportunity.
And honestly, if you want a multiplayer Star Wars game, you have to give a shout out to DICE and what they did with Battlefront 2 and really revamping that game. Like, that game is not what it was in 2017.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, the only multiplayer Star Wars series that we. It is absolutely amazing. They just released the BB-8 and BB-9E update, and it's so much fun. I can play that game for hours.
You know what? That was actually the reason why I thought about this Han Solo thing. I jumped into the story campaign, which is just okay.
It's okay, yeah.
But they built all the world. They built all of these assets. Why not give those assets to Respawn and make a single-player experience with Luke Skywalker or Han Solo?
And it was cool to see Han Solo pre-Force Awakens, right?
Yes.
Like, that was part of the story. It was just, there was these little kind of story parts in that were like, wow, this could be an amazing solo experience.
Yes.
No pun intended.
We are going to get to Tommy in a second here, but a real quick unboxing. Replicade sent us something out of the blue. I didn't know that this was coming.
It's always an unboxing, Vic.
Not always.
It's always an unboxing.
Always,
you always get sent this stuff.
This
Where's
cool.
the stuff going to go, Vic?
Well, right now it's going on the set.
Okay. Well, after the set runs out of space.
Okay.
Can we give it out to some of the fans here? Just,
Oh, bad idea. Bad idea. This was Behr's last co-hosting gig.
Damn it.
This is cool.
I just got hired.
This
too.
is a. This is a token machine, a change machine that has a bunch of USB slots on the back. So it's like a charge brick.
It's 2020. Where's USB Type-C? All right.
I don't know. Maybe it's
okay. It looks good.
They're USBs. Anyways, that goes right there, which is perfect because you're always out of USB slots, and now you can plug in all of your little. It's crazy. They're like making a mini arcade on the Electric Playground set, which is crazy.
Yeah, this is very cool. This is a lot of fun.
I haven't played these in a little while, but this is really cool. Thank you, Replicade. What a great little surprise that is. A coin machine for these at that scale. Very cool. Okay, you guys, we have a new segment that we are starting with this new season of EP Live. This is our 30th season of making television, or I still call it television.
2020, Vic. We're in the future.
I know, it's
you
crazy.
finally have one gray hair.
Yeah, just one. Yeah. Yeah, I love getting those comments about, man, you don't look the same. Yeah, that's what happens when you keep doing things for 25 years. Okay, you guys, we've got a new segment, and I think you're going to enjoy this. It's called Weekend Plans. Welcome to Weekend Plans, where we show you the best new games, movies, and TV shows to check out this week. Hitting theaters this weekend is the new DC movie Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie reprises her role from 2017's Suicide Squad as the dastardly DC evildoer Dr. Harleen Quinzel, this time commanding her own team of super anti-heroes. Her cohorts include the likes of Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress and Journey Smollett-Bell as Black Canary, and they're going up against none other than the crime lord Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor.
Who's having a good time?
Noticeably absent from the new film is Suicide Squad's version of the Joker, played by Jared Leto, who has since parted ways with the DC movie universe, so you can probably guess who it is that Harley has emancipated herself from. DC fans like us have high hopes for Birds of Prey following hits like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, so fingers crossed that it doesn't disappoint.
You are so cool.
If you're looking for a movie to watch at home or when you're snowed in at an isolated hotel, the new Stephen King adaptation Dr. Sleep hit Blu-ray this week. The story serves as a sequel to the classic horror tale The Shining, with Ewan McGregor playing a grown-up version of the telepathic Danny Torrance, who's forced to confront the demons of his past in order to take on a new group of supernatural evildoers. The film was a box office disappointment when it was released in theaters last year, despite good reviews, so Warner Brothers is hoping it will find new life at home. The Blu-ray includes the original theatrical cut plus a new 3-hour director's cut.
Forever and ever.
The graphic novel Lock and Key from Stephen King's son Joe Hill has its own Netflix adaptation that begins streaming on February 7th. 3 siblings return to their ancestral home after the death of their father, only to discover magical keys throughout the house that unlock ghostly apparitions and powers. The comic has been struggling to get a screen adaptation ever since it was first published in 2008, but it didn't get a green light until Netflix came on board and locked it in.
Holy crap.
The old Resident Evil games are being remade with fancy new camera systems and controls, but if you want that classic survival horror feel, the new game Dawn of Fear is hoping to deliver. It's a survival horror game with a locked third-person camera perspective, just like the classic Resident Evil games, where players navigate a terrifying mansion filled with traps, puzzles, and deadly foes. Hopefully, you don't become a Jill sandwich. The episodic game Life is Strange 2 has been rolling out for more than a year, but now all 5 chapters have been bundled alongside other goodies in a new collector's edition that has just landed on consoles and the PC. Extras include vinyl figures, a vinyl record, a not vinyl art book, and the free prologue game The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. You can get our thoughts on the game and its story by watching the full review on our channel. Finally, the film industry's biggest award show of the year is happening this Sunday with the 92nd Annual Academy Awards, or the Oscars as the cool kids call it. This will be the second time in the show's history that it will be presented without a host, with each category instead set up by different presenters like Mahershala Ali, Zazie Beetz, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, which means the awards ceremony will be far more diverse than the actual MPAA members who vote for the winners and decide the nominees in the first place.
Thank you so much.
That's it for our first edition of Weekend Plans, but we'll be back next week with more new games, movies, and TV shows for you to check out. All right, I'm trying to get a hold of Tommy. Tommy, if you're watching, answer your Skype.
He's ghosting us right now.
He's there. This is what happens when you've got a live thing going on. But he'll be on in a second. I wanted to do this anyways in the show, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what the plan is, because people were getting accustomed to EP Live 3 times a week, and we love doing it 3 times a week, but it was a lot of energy to pull all of the show together.
Vic, I don't know how you and Blake, you and Blake are like an army of like a production team.
Thank you.
To make 3 shows and like 10 segments for each show in 1 week. Guys, you guys don't realize how ridiculous this is.
We did it.
Yes.
But we're going to be a little more sane this year and do it once a week. Here's our friend Tommy Tallarico. Let's go live. There he is. Yo, how are you? Sorry, buddy. We went a little long on the news. Oh, yes.
I'm trying to answer the damn right one, so I had to shut everything else off.
That's awesome. We're making great content here. You complaining about Skype. I love it.
Is it? Yeah. Well, are we live?
We are live, buddy.
Let's give a round of applause for Tommy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Tallarico, the CEO of Intellivision.
I love Skype. They should invest in my company. No, I don't know.
How is it to be described as the CEO of Intellivision? Is it?
Sounds like a lot of responsibility that I don't want.
Is it? I mean, the reality clearly is setting in now. You've got a machine to launch this year. Is it what you imagined it was going to be, or is it different, or what about it is news to you?
Well, it's funny, like whenever you start a new venture, whether it's video games live or, a TV show, you have this dream and you're like, I want to make a TV show or whatever. And then it never really sinks in how hard it is and all of the intricacy. Like when you thought of the TV show, you probably weren't thinking to yourself, now, how am I going to upload this show to a satellite? Like in order to get the, you know what I mean? So it's like you have the dream and you work really hard and you have all these barriers that you encounter. And when you have when you have the confidence that you can get around it, you'll just figure out a way. So yeah, it's we're running into things all the time that are like, holy crap, oh yeah, there's that. How are we going to do that?
Well, you know what I know about that though, and I can, firsthand I know that, but also through watching you for years and years with Video Games Live and getting a lot off the ground, is that becomes part of the mythology, that becomes part of the story. And if it was easy, I think you were the one that was really reinforcing this. Back in the day, you used to say to me, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it. And that was in reference to, what are we looking at here? It was reference to our show, but reference to getting Video Games Live together as well. Have you got somebody in the corner?
There's a secret message somewhere.
No, I'm trying to, I pushed the damn thing on the thing, and now what's going on here? I'm trying to turn this around.
What do you give Skype out of 10, buddy?
What the hell? Turn this bitch around.
This is amazing.
There it is. Okay.
There you're back.
Hey.
Okay. Let's get into the nitty gritty because
of course the joke in hardware is it's called hardware for a reason.
Right. Very good.
Because it's hard.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. Okay. The release date is 10/10/2020. And how much is it going to cost in the U.S. and how much is it going to cost in Canada?
We still don't know that yet. We're still working that out. There's so many things. I mean, I can give you. I'm going to introduce you to some people here.
Okay.
This is my boy Todd.
Does everybody have a barf bag? We're all good? Okay.
Oh, because I'm like going like this all the time. Hey, how you doing? No. So
I wish this was broadcasting on an IMAX size screen.
Just pretend it's VR. But anyway, Todd's title is where the hell's your card? What is your title?
I don't know.
We haven't figured that out yet. Todd makes shit.
Okay.
That's what we do. Todd's our director of making shit.
Okay.
No, so he does a lot of project management,
Mechanical engineering.
a lot of the mechanical engineering. Oh, go through some of the stuff. This is an exclusive. We've never showed anyone any of this stuff before.
Okay.
But so what are you doing here, Todd?
This is a 3D model of the console and the controller. So we've got basically everything is built in CAD, and then we start doing prototypes of that to verify that everything works together, right? So we've actually got some 3D prints over here.
Yeah, show them some of the stuff.
So basically, we after we design it, we go through a testing system where we print everything out, and then we put it together and we test it and make sure it works like we think. And then we do a lot of back and forth with Tommy on how the buttons need to feel, how the disc needs to feel. So it's been fun. But these are our next lineup, so we're going to be putting these together in the next couple of days and doing some more testing with our newest control board and the screens and everything. So it's going good.
So stuff isn't fully locked down yet? You're still tweaking and getting that final kind of feel?
Exactly, that's the thing, and that's why I can't tell you. When you say how much is it going to cost, we have a range.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at first we're like, oh, let's try to make it around $150, and then and you're like, oh man, we really should do this. Oh my God, it'll really take the quality up a lot higher, but it's going to cost $2 more, and then it piles on and piles on. It's like, okay, now the machine's like $199, but oh my gosh, if we were to add this, and we don't want to get like we're not talking like feature creep stuff where it's like we're trying to do too much. We're talking just about the level of quality, like when you put it in your hands, the kind of battery, the kind of screen, the kind of, so it's like, do we want this to be like a lesser expensive, cheaper quality stuff, or do we want it to be like you just open it up and you hold it in your hands and you go, wow, that feeling like when you open your next iPhone, right? And you tear that plastic off the screen and you just feel like you're that wow moment, so that's what we're doing with this. And so right now our US price point is going to be anywhere from, it could go 220, 230, 240. We don't know yet, and this kind of stuff, it always goes down. It's always until we deliver our final BOM, which stands for Build of Materials, which is literally like how many components do we have? It's
hundreds. If you include the electrical, we've got hundreds.
Right, literally hundreds of every little damn thing, and every one of those has a price on them, right? So, part of Todd's job is to see, what, we can get this thing for 1 cent less. It's going to save us blah, blah, blah. Or if we reroute something this way, then we're going to, save 3 cents in the long run. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff. We literally have a team of people who that's what they do all day long is figure out how can we make the highest quality with the lowest price so that we can pass that on to the consumer.
I know you're working with hardware engineers. Are you also working with people that have shipped a console or helped to market and get a console out into the marketplace?
Totally. And in fact, I don't know if I should say this, but I will anyway. The folks, like even our manufacturing partners, they've done the PlayStation 3, 4, and they're starting up on the 5.
Cool.
And they also did the Wii controllers.
Okay.
So yeah, we got folks who've done it before, and we have people on our team who worked on the Xbox hardware, the PlayStation hardware, and even somebody who worked on the Nintendo stuff, on the Wii specifically.
What you and I both know is that the community is big and it's expansive around the world, but it's also small. It's also easy to connect with people and tap into that expertise. You have a launch date that's coming up quickly, and you're figuring out all the details around that. People want to know about the games and the strategy around the games and how many games will be able to be played day one and then the rollout after that.
Yeah. Remember that great line? Because Vic, I know you're a huge fan of Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course. Me and you share that in common. And one of my favorite lines from Raiders of the Lost Ark is when Indy finally, he breaks into the tent, he gets Marion out of there, and now they put the Ark onto the truck. And now the truck's going away, right? and Sala, and they turn to him and he says, Indy, now what are we going to do? And the famous, my favorite line from any movie is he goes, I don't know, I'm making this up as we go along. and so a lot of, I mean, and you do that to some extent, like we have 40 games in our pipeline right now, and you get 5 games that are going to be in the system, and we know what those 5 games are. We've only announced one of them, but we know what they are, and we've actually been working on those today. But do we know for sure that we're going to have 40 games on launch? No, because we're not going to release anything that we feel is not of a certain standard or quality, right? So let's target 40, but if we only get 20, that's still pretty good, and then we'll come out with a new game every 10 to 14 days, right? And so there's always a plethora of stuff in there. So that's kind of where we're doing. But in regards to manufacturing now, I mean, the world happens, right? I mean, this whole coronavirus thing right now is screwing up everyone, by the way, including Sony and Microsoft, right? So
I have a story about that too, because we used to shoot on Blu-ray discs with we used to shoot our show on XD-Cam, and the first iterations of XD-Cam were little Blu-ray discs. And I think an earthquake or something happened, and there was a shortage of the media, and then it skyrocketed in price, and it affected our budget. So I know exactly what you're going through. Yeah.
And the kind of the unknown at this point to every electronics, anything, whether it's TVs, PlayStations, iPhones, or whatever, is that right now the Chinese government has extended the Chinese New Year by 2 weeks, right? So typically, the whole country of China shuts down in February.
Right.
So now they've added 2 weeks to that. So anyone who's thinking about manufacturing now has to slide out to March 15th, right?
Right.
We are targeted to go into manufacturing sometime in April. So we're finishing up like the final hardware elements right now. But once you finish that up and then you create the dev kits, and we're doing 100 dev kits right now. Once that's done, then you have to test the hell out of it for like at least 2 months, and you hire outside contractors, and you hire a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of, somebody's like I can show you back here. We have like battery testers. Like
I wish the guys that ran the Iowa caucus knew about testing stuff before they launched it.
Well, it's the DNC getting those apps going. I don't know. Maybe we could have wrote them an Amico thing.
Voting on Amicos. So is Intellivision going to publish every one of the Intellivision games, or are you going to let there's your shirt. Is Activision going to publish stuff, and EA? Like, what are your plans around that?
So we're getting their licenses, but they're not actually doing the work.
Okay.
We're handpicking, some of the best developers in the world and some great indie folks. So we go out and we'll get the license to, Centipede or Breakout or whatever, so we'll get the license from Atari or from Konami or Capcom or whatever it is, right? We get the license, like Moon Patrol, Burger Time. We'll get those licenses, and then we handpick the people to create it for us under our direction, and then we get sign off from those publishers. So we're, in essence, every game is a first-party game. If you think about Nintendo, What are all the greatest Nintendo games? They're the ones that are made by Nintendo, the first-party games, right?
Yeah.
Look what happened with the Wii. All of the great games made for the Wii were made by Nintendo, and everything else was pretty much shovelware, And so we're kind of taking the approach of every single thing that we do is treated like first party. So we give our resources. We were just having a meeting right here where, we're helping the developers. Of course, we give them audio. I'm doing a lot of the audio design and audio direction, but we're also, I do that on the weekends. But like our art designer, our art director, you remember Mike Dietz from Earthworm Jim?
Yes.
I'm gonna invade Mike's world right now.
Mike.
There's Mike.
How's it going?
Mike Dietz. You remember Victor from Electric Playground?
How's it going, pal?
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you. We're live at the VFS Cafe in Vancouver at 390 West Hastings. So this is the guy that did art and animation and worked with Disney animators, not just on Earthworm Jim, but also did a lot of work on Aladdin as well. And Cool Spot, part of the Virgin team that went off and joined up with Shiny Entertainment back in the day.
Many years ago.
And then also Arma Krog, and he worked with Doug TenNapel on the Neverhood and claymation stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I knew when I started in television, me and Dave Perry said we gotta go get Mikey, and so here we are reunited. The very first game that me and Mike ever worked on together was in early 1990 or 91 was Monopoly. 91 was Monopoly for DOS.
Wow.
And so I did the audio, Mike did the art, and the programmer was this guy here.
How's it going?
was John Alvarado.
How's
John
it going?
worked at Virgin with us way back when, but also worked like on big games like Bard's Tale and Line Rider for Brian Fargo, In Exile, Wasteland, Wasteland 2. So again, and John's our software technical director. Did I get that right?
Yes.
I got that right. So
That's
I always
awesome.
messed up his title, but then I'm like software technical director. Wait a second, I can remember that. STD. Anyway, so. But,
Dude, I have to stop you for a couple things. I want to say that isn't this like an EP segment from the 90s? But it's live, and Tommy's doing the camera work and the hosting, which is blowing my freaking mind because there used to be a guy with a beta cam following Tommy around doing all this stuff, and I'd be behind the camera. Now he's just holding a phone in his hand shooting it. This is blowing my mind. But the other thing, and I think we should stop here to talk about this, is the reason why you're doing this, because I know some of the folks here don't even know what the Intellivision Amico is. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. So tell us a little bit about why, and then also the fact that you're working with people with all of this experience and their reasons why they want to be involved with something like this.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, let me go back to John here because he's got a good answer to this, which is so John, why did you leave great things to come here?
Right. Well, when I heard Tommy's announcement about the Amico and the mission of the Amico to bring back family gaming and get people playing together again, kids playing with their parents, kids playing with their friends in the same room and having that social interaction that we remember as kids playing these console games, that just hit me right in the heart, because I feel like kids these days, gaming is isolating them, and they're playing in dark rooms with the headphones on, and they're playing with other people, but they're just by themselves and they're alone. And I feel like it's created this sort of rift between parents and kids as well, because the kids are off alone in the room wanting to do their thing, and the parents, they're not interacting with the parents, they're not doing activities with the parents. And board games have kind of started to fill that gap and are increasing in popularity. But I'd like to see video games become an activity that parents do with their kids, and that kids and grandparents do together, and kids with their neighbors, come over to one guy's house and play games together. That's the kind of childhood that we grew up with, and I think it was extremely valuable. And I think that this is going to improve the world for the better. Just having that sort of social interaction and those experiences together is going to make for better people, essentially.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about it.
And I would imagine on the other side, like you want people to play like that, but I think the it must feel like going home a bit for you guys that have been in the business for a while to develop like that. Because when I see this space on screen here, it looks like a lot of the studios that I used to go and visit when we started Electric Playground. It was, much more about like, we've got a crazy dream and let's just get together with friends and try to make it happen. And it feels like that's kind of what you're building again.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was also part of the attraction for me, is getting to work with Tommy again and Mike Dietz, the people that I grew up in the industry with, and that we did great things together because we had so much excitement and passion when we started in this business, and we still have it because we're still in the business. And to work with that type of person again, that group of people, this was just an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, it's magic. It is magic that happens. Here, I'm going to invade this meeting.
I got a quick question from Quick Fingers 818. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, would it be possible through a future upgrade to connect a traditional gamepad for us hardcore gamers who want to play Earthworm Jim on the Amico?
Say that one more time.
Wants to know if you can connect a control, like a traditional game, like a traditional controller to play a game like Earthworm Jim on the Amico, to play it like the classics.
I mean, we have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi that you could connect those controllers up to. But really, all of the games that we're making are based around our controller. And I know it's hard for somebody to look at our controller and go, well, how the hell am I going to play Call of Duty on that? Or how the hell am I going to play Fortnite on that dumbass thing? And so,
hey, Bill.
And they say, oh, Bill, right?
Yeah, yep.
I don't see any face.
I know, it's Victor Lucas from.
Oh, Victor, hi, Victor. Yeah, I figured it was Victor, but I only see half of Victor. Victor, you're literally cut off at your ear. I don't see any of you.
Right.
That's all. It's all good.
But,
it's okay. Thanks.
But I was going to say, I'm looking at this stuff and I was like, oh shoot, we got stuff on the board we shouldn't be showing.
That's freeze framed for sure.
But anyway, so look, don't show that. Okay. But say hi to the world.
Hello.
There
Hello.
You go. So yeah, we're actually talking about. Oh, so to answer your question. The games that we're making are being made for our controller.
Right.
So you would be able to hook up an Xbox controller or whatever, but you wouldn't want to. And I know that sounds like weird, but when you see the way the games play and how they play, you'll want to play them with the thing, because there's certain things that we haven't revealed yet about our controller and about the way mobile devices work within the machine. We'll be revealing it at E3 this year.
Is there anything about this, because it's so different from every other part of the video game industry? Is there anything that you're nervous about, that you're putting all of these different pieces together that aren't being done? Like, there's no other system like this that you can kind of point at. Even the Atari VCS is really about kind of, from what they've told us, is really about just playing games the way we are already familiar with. This is not. This is totally unique, and it's a closed system.
I don't think there's nervousness. I think there's more excitement than anything, because we're playing this stuff, and the game design ideas that are coming out of this because of our controller, because of the way we're utilizing couch co-op, and everybody has a screen, and you have colors, and you have RFID and speakers and microphones. The stuff that we're doing in our game designs are so unique, and it's very exciting. So yeah, it's not really nervousness as much, because we know that when people get this in their hands and they start playing it, they'll be like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to play a video game if I don't have a screen on my controller now. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, because I think the real thing here is we're very excited about the new things that we're doing and the new ways we're doing things, which is not what other people are doing. And we have never had a case where we're like, oh yeah, this game is going to completely suck on our controller. It's just never going to work. We're going to hate life. That's never been the case. And so we're not worried about that being the case. We're looking at all the games and, oh yeah, this is totally playable. It's instantly easy to use. And so we're more worried about how much fun we can make it and how much we can leverage the new things that our controller does that nobody else does, which are at least half a dozen things that our controller is not like the others, and we think in ways better. We had a sad meeting today where we were talking about that.
So I have something.
And for those that don't know, Bill was at Intellivision the first time. He's been making games with Intellivision since the 1980s.
1981.
Amazing.
1981.
Amazing.
BE-17 bomber. Right here, baby.
Oh, that's so great. I have one more question, and then does anybody else in the audience have a question?
I want to show you something. Before you get to that question, I want to show you something that we've never shown the world right now.
All right, do it.
This is going to be this is going to be a secret thing that everyone's going to get with Amico. One of these.
What the hell is that?
Everybody,
a destroyed chair
that we're announcing at E3. Everybody gets their own robotic chair.
Okay, fantastic. Hey, Tommy, the question that I have is, when are we going to get hands-on time? And when, and you can let everybody here know at 390 West Hastings in Vancouver, when are you coming to the VFS Cafe with Amicos to let people play live on stage and we can all talk about it?
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. We definitely got to do that. So we're the first time the general public will be able to get their hands on will be at E3 this year.
Okay.
So on the floor with devices, people playing this and that. So yeah, let's do a special story, let's do a special trip up there and do it, and we'll get some folks, like you said. Let's have a big event where you're at and have people come in and play it and give us feedback. That'd be great.
That would be amazing. Maybe we can get some of the developers to come and talk about their games and stuff too. I would love that.
Look at this stuff. Look at this stuff, Vic. Like, this is just like the back end. This is just kind of the stuff that, you know, that's being made. Oh, look, an Apple II. That's our Apple IIc. That's our Apple IIc. That's what I had growing up, dude. I mean, we used to crack those games. Like, I probably shouldn't say that. I cracked your games, probably. What game did you do for the Apple II?
I worked on Burger Time and Lock and Chase and Night Stalker.
Yeah, okay, I cracked your games. Okay, I'm out of here.
This is amazing. Brother, we got to get going because we've got another segment and a screening to get to. But I'm going to contact you guys again soon. Mike, good to see you. Thank you for taking us on a tour of Intellivision. Good luck with all the stuff that's happening. Well, not just for you guys, but for the world in China. And we'll check in soon, and I can't wait to play these games, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do this. We should do this once a month.
Sounds great. And congrats on the early sales that you did. You sold 2,600 Intellivision Amicos, and they sold out in a few hours.
We sold 2,600 Founders Editions in under 5 hours. It was unbelievable. Couldn't have gone better. And yes, for everyone, go to IntellivisionAmico.com. Please sign up to our mailing list. We're on Facebook and Twitter all the time too. But Intellivision Amico, and that's our big thing, right? Together again. That's awesome. We got the Running Man family here.
I can't believe we can do an EP segment live on location from a cafe. It's just blowing my mind like crazy. It's good to see your face.
Let's do this every couple of weeks.
I'd love to get you back on soon, brother. Best of luck with everything. Love you too, pal. Talk to you soon. Okay, we have got a segment, and it's about a game. It's a buried treasure segment about a game that I had to think about a little bit more. Here's Axiom Verge. So today's buried treasure is a little bit of a cheat because this is a beloved game that has been available on almost every platform you can imagine. It's had a great deal of success, and one of the reasons why is that it was created by one person, Thomas Happ, and he has been able to make Axiom Verge live on lots of different machines. And I recall reviewing this game with Scott Jones a few years ago when it first came out, and we reviewed it after Ori and the Blind Forest and some other Metroidvania type experiences. And I remember thinking, man, this is an impressive game, and it's filled with lots of great artistry, an incredible soundtrack that Thomas Happ actually also made. But it wasn't a game that really bowled me over with its mechanics or its originality or its hooky kinds of concepts. Now, I have kind of been dwelling on Axiom Verge ever since I put that review out there on the show, because I know a lot of people love this game. And I know that it was a tremendous effort, and it's filled with all kinds of great commentary on video games in general and this genre of Metroidvania and all of these different sort of clever inside jokes and wonderful little elements that are yours to discover. This is one of those games where, I've reviewed it, but I've thought about it, and I've always thought, was I fair enough to that game? And so the game became available on the Nintendo Switch. And as I started to play it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy fun. And oh my God, did it feel like I needed to jump into another Metroidvania at that time. A couple of years ago, Samus Returns Metroid for the 3DS came out, and that knocked my socks off. Again, still to this day, we have lots of Metroidvania type games that we can point at and play. But the mindset was different this time for me. So to jump into Axiom Verge now in 2020 and play this, I don't know, it spoke to me in a different way. I got completely obsessed with it. I got completely addicted to finding all the secrets and all the mysteries. I love the fact that you can actually pick up a, kind of an in-game editor and sort of monkey with the codes within the game and change all the parameters around for yourself, like the gravity. And I love the fact that you can pick up the mechanic to phase through walls. And of course, it employs all of the tricks that we know from Metroidvania, where you find the secrets, and that allows you to access areas that were, at one time closed off to you. So there's a lot of retraversal. There's a lot of trying to decipher where you can and can't go on the map that you're constantly accessing. It was an amazing, perfect escape for me at this time and on this console. I wanted to put, another video together, and I think part of what I wanted to do was also talk about the fact that sometimes revisiting software that was once not right for you, and I've discovered this in a lot of my 16-bit superhero segments as well. When you revisit some of those games sometimes, and your mindset's different, sometimes it clicks, and you just get it, and you understand why this game works and why it's beloved by so many people. And that was absolutely the case for me this time. I felt when I reviewed it last time that I was a little exhausted on this 2D Metroidvania, made by people that love the genre kind of thing. But then even since then, we've had a lot of different games that tip their hat to this genre at least. But I don't know. I was just grooving on it, and I just think it's an unbelievably fun escape. And the character and the interaction with this sort of alien force and these different creatures that you encounter, all of it was just mesmerizing, coupled with the beautiful sound effects and incredible music permeating throughout the experience. It's superb. I'm really glad that I went back to the game. It makes me doubly excited for the sequel that's coming. Axiom Verge on Nintendo Switch is just an incredible fit. And it really makes me anxious for more from this franchise, but also, Nintendo, you've got to do something with all of your incredible 2D Metroid games, including Samus Returns, the 3DS game. They deserve a home on the Nintendo Switch as well. Axiom Verge, consider it a buried treasure for yourself, but it is incredibly successful, and I couldn't be happier that it is. And I gotta say it, I think I called it, I was a little off last time. I gave it a 7.5, and I would give it at least an 8.5 or a 9 now. It is a wonderful, wonderful game, and man, was it fun to get lost in it, and it's a perfect fit for the Switch. Yeah, I really loved revisiting Axiom Verge, and shout out to Tom Happ, incredible developer, and also shout out to Tommy Tallarico. Did you have a good time with that?
That was amazing. What year is it? It's 2020.
Yes.
There's an Intellivision coming out.
Yeah.
And Tommy Tallarico's the CEO.
It's insane. All of it is so weird.
If you told me this 20 years ago,
yeah,
thought you'd be smoking some good weed. I just would not have seen this coming.
Trust me, man. Like, I've been doing these 16-bit superhero segments.
That's
I've been
crazy.
playing all these cartridges. We're getting tiny little arcade systems. Like, all of the melange of all these different, styles of games, all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But it speaks to the, the resonance of this medium and why it's so fun to talk about it. And I remember putting the Shiny guys on the show. I was like a holy grail for EP back in the day, to go and visit Shiny Entertainment.
Yeah, and you were talking about how that really felt like the early days of EP, when you had those office tours and you were able to really go into these people's desks and see what they were working on.
I might just send Tommy with his phone to a bunch of different studios in LA.
Oh yeah, he'll leak everything for us. He'll flip his camera accidentally. I don't know what that was all about.
He did a great job.
We saw his nipple half the time too.
Yes, he was showing his nipple off. So. That's normal. That's also old EP. I can't wait to play the Intellivision Amico.
Yes, I cannot wait.
And so here is the deal. So if you are in the Vancouver area, thank you for watching on the stream, but you don't have to do that. You can come and be a part of this audience. Thank you all for coming today, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys all rock. And I'm working with studios like Warner Brothers. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's presentation of Birds of Prey. So a bunch of people from the EP Live studio are going to go and see Birds of Prey tonight, and a bunch of people from the EP Live studio are going to see The Call of the Wild, the new Harrison Ford movie. Thank you to our friends at 20th Century Studios who provided tickets for that. They're going to go and see that next week. We are back again with a new episode of EP Live. It's looking like February 20th. Follow me on Twitter and I'll confirm that.
Yep.
That's a Thursday, February 20th. And I don't know who the guest's going to be just yet, but we're working on some really cool things for that. And our plan is to be back. Oh, and if you come here to the Vancouver Film School Cafe, thanks Blake, at 390 West Hastings and are part of the studio audience, you have a chance to get a movie ticket to go and see some movies. So stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter for all of those details, but definitely come on down for that. And we're working on lots of cool things, lots of cool guests. And it's going to be once weekly, which gives us a little bit of time to kind of plan and prep and put all of these different pieces together. But we'd love to have you down here. We're very grateful that you are here, whether you're watching us on the stream or live in person. It's awesome. Thank you so much. We are going to go because we've got a trek out to go and see this movie.
Gotta go see this film.
But we're going to leave you with... it's February 5th, and on this day, and what year was it? 2000?
Year 2000.
February 5th.
20 years ago.
Year 2000, February 5th is when The Sims came out, and EP had a very fun segment on The Sims starring the one and only Tommy Tallarico. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you very soon, and until then, play forever.
If you understood what the heck I just said, then you're probably just as addicted to The Sims as I am. Very excited to be here today with Will Wright, the creator of The Sims and also Sim City. My first question for you is, exactly. Walk us through a little bit of some of the things that people do in the game.
Well, the game basically is about real life, but it treats real life as a strategy game. You invite neighbors over, you get to know people, you can get married, you can have kids. You go to sleep, you get a job, you work, you sit in front of the TV. It really kind of depends on how you decide to play the game. You know, your Sims can end up being couch potatoes in front of the TV eating potato chips.
Right.
Or they might be real go-getters, workaholics, you know, and always working to improve their skills for their job.
You know, you're cooking, you're eating, you can draw art, play pinball, I mean, you can...
Yeah, most of the activities you engage in real life are, in some sense, represented in this game. And some people like to kill the Sims and see how they can die. Other people want to, you know, love.
That's exactly what I want to do. Well,
get married, you know, or have a giant mansion on the hillside.
I try to hit on all the married women in the neighborhood and get them, and then once I have them, I try to kill their husbands.
Yeah, that's the Black Widow strategy.
Is that it? Black Widow strategy. Okay, cool. That's great. Is there a secret code to get rid of the, you know, mosaic stuff? We want to see naked bodies. What's the deal, Will?
The deal is there is not a secret code, but some very clever users actually reverse engineered our code and made a patch.
There's a way to do it.
I'm not going to tell you where the patch is.
No!
I'll leave that up to you. But.
Okay, but that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun. I bought a jute box last week.
Well, we have things on our website. We had a guinea pig So if they happen to be bit by the guinea pig when the guinea pig's cage was dirty, they could get sick and they'd start sneezing periodically, and they could actually get sicker and sicker if you didn't give them rest. They could actually spread the disease to other sims. We're going to be doing that with a lot of the objects, so the simulation will just get richer and richer as you download more objects into it.
For all you people out there who want to cheat and not play right, like me, Control-Shift-C, and a little thing will come up, and you put in Klapacious. I sat there for 6 days and tried to build up $1 million.
It's a shorter cut too.
Which is?
The exclamation point separated by semicolons, and then you can do about 6 or 7 exclamation points on one line. Everyone on that line will give you $1,000.
Good Fortnite! Hey, Lucio!